he supports blasphemy laws. He supports censoring free speech under the name of blasphemy laws.
Mm-hmm.
If that ever becomes a mainstream part of Christianity, or excuse me, Christian nationalism, I will reject it and turn on it and attempt to destroy it to the best of my ability, because free speech is prime. That's my fundamental axiom.
So if a guy's going down the
exchange of ideas,
right, no.
Let's mark the principle. Yes,
we're going through this.
Bad.
No, fuck that.
Regular
fuck
porn, I'm okay with. I'm okay with banning regular porn.
So if a guy's riding down the street
naked
and he has the FM radio on, you don't think that the FCC should be allowed to say that you can't have like racial slurs bumping on the FM radio? You don't think that they should be allowed to censor any of that for the purpose of decency?
In that example, no.
Okay, so then why is it that they should be able to censor pornography on television?
Wait, just regular porn?
Yeah.
Because that's not speech.
Why isn't it? It's freedom of expression, right?
Okay, here we go. This is your presuppositional nonsense.
This isn't presupping.
Hold on. Why isn't my
Don't
watch
ask me a question.
Speech?
Answer
why isn't
question.
my watch speech? Because it's going to go,
ask
well,
a
how do you
question,
know
answer a
that? You
question.
have to abide by a first principle.
No, I'm not getting into first principles. I'm literally just asking for consistency.
Here's why.
If it is the case that the FCC...
It's self-evident. It's the exchange
Oh, it's
of
axiomatically
ideas.
self-evident.
Right.
What's self-evident about that? European nations have porn playing. European nations have porn playing. European nations, you can watch softcore porn right on your television during daytime TV.
Okay, we're talking in principle right now. I don't care what other countries are doing. In principle.
Okay, in principle.
I believe that it is absolutely essential that people be allowed to exchange ideas. Okay?
Yeah.
Watching people have sex is not an exchange of ideas. Now you say, how do I know that? Exactly where do you draw the line?
Okay.
It's like saying, what's the difference between the color blue and the color purple? Exactly where do you draw the line at when blue becomes purple? It's a continuum.
So as long as it's on the FM radio waves and they're just reading hardcore porn, that's okay?
That's better than showing it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay. You wouldn't censor that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It's case by case. Yeah, it's case. Okay, hold on. Do you agree there's a difference between like nudity in art and then pornography?
Yeah.
There's a lot of Christian art that has nudity in it.
I just said yeah.
Okay, so how do you know exactly where the difference between art and pornography is?
The delineations and intent.
Go on.
That's it. The delineations and intent. When you're because you're trying to cite the Supreme Court when they're like, I know it when I see it. Correct. That's actually was a bad. It was actually a bad argument. The truth is that we do know it, and we know it through intent.
Okay, that's my lines. What did you? All right, fine. That's how I know to ban porn when it's intent to just fucking appeal to people's basest instincts.
Yeah, but so is music. Music does the same thing.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, music, it does.
I don't know how aroused you get when you listen to music.
Oh, okay. So you're driving down the street and you're bumping.
Mechanism.
You're bumping. Oh, I got my GAT, my AK. I'm gonna go kill all these N-words over here, and then I'm gonna go call these bitches over there.
Protected by free speech. Yes.
What's the intent there, though? What's the intent? Is there? It's not. Is there good intent there, bro? Like, what's the intent?
Doesn't matter what the intent is.
It doesn't matter. So why does it matter when it comes to nudity and porn?
For porn, that the intent matters. How do you delineate between art and porn? I don't know. You tell me. I just asked you, and you said the intent is how you delineate it.
Because I don't have a problem with the regulation of speech. You do.
You don't have a problem with the regulation. I obviously have a problem with. No. Hold on.
So hang on. Listen, I'm gonna. You have to stop cutting me off. Let me make the argument.
Shut the fuck up.
Here's the argument. You are the one who has trouble. Who says, "Well, no, I'm an unlimited free speech guy." Okay. But
not necessarily.
Hang on, but I want to ban. But I want to ban corn. It's like, okay. So what happens if these corn? Two? What if these two people? Well, I mean, I don't care, right? I want to ban porn.
Okay.
I'm used.
I genuinely don't know.
I'm used to TikTok friendly language.
Yeah,
so
that's right. YT people.
Yeah,
I heard that earlier today.
So the thing is like, if it is the case that two people say, well, we're having a sexual display, which is art. It's art. You can't clearly delineate intent if they're saying that that's their intent, other than you actually know what their real intent is. And so you can make the regulation based on that, right? I would make the same argument for music or blasphemy. What is the intent of saying,
Fuck Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. What's the
Jesus was an
intent?
alcoholic virgin.
Yeah, what's the intent?
Maybe if Christianity is used, maybe if you,
What's the intent? Is it anything
I
you're
don't know.
doing
You're
there
asking me
that
a
has good
hypothetical.
intention? Is there anything good there that has
Yeah,
a good
could be.
intention?
Could be.
What's good about you saying that?
The same thing of drawing cartoons about Muhammad.
Yeah,
It's to
what
say
about
fuck you to Islamism.
And can you do that in Islam countries?
No, you get killed for it.
No, you can't, right? No, you
Do you
can't.
support that?
Well, I'm saying that if it is the case that
Do
they
you
can
support what
govern,
Islam did to Charlie Hebdo? Do you think that was an acceptable
I think that is
response?
in Islamic nations, if you believe in the sovereignty of men, and those men have constructed that nation under Islam, then you're going to have to obey their laws. I
That's
don't
a
have
different
to
question.
agree. Hang
Okay,
on,
so okay.
bro, you got to let me answer the fucking question.
Oh, okay.
Do
We're
do
in
I
debate
agree?
mode now, Andrew. Shut the fuck up.
Do I agree though that you should be able to regulate it? No, but I'm following a different ethical system.
Why
They
don't
will
you
kill
agree?
you. Well, they will kill you for drawing the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
Christians aren't going to kill you for blaspheming against Christ. What you would get like a fine or some kind of like public decency charge or something like that.
Oh, and then we're back to Jordan Peterson C16 all over again. Okay, so let's say I draw a picture of Jesus.
By the way, I'm not for blasphemy laws. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Okay, well, that's 12 minutes of my life that I just wasted. Why are you not for that?
I've never been for blasphemy laws. I don't think that they're important. I think that ultimately, you stupid guarded pragmatists.
Why are you not for blasphemy laws? What would you tell Stephen Wolf?
Because I think ultimately, if you're going to try to regulate language like that, then you're going to eliminate the idea of discourse altogether.
Correct.
That's problematic. However, I don't think that if you outlaw nude displays of art, that you're going to eliminate discord, or you're going to eliminate.
I agree. That's why
you're going to eliminate
discourse.
Sorry, not discord.
Yeah, I agree. It's an easier line. Talking and exchanging ideas is categorically different than like nudity in any format. That's like a visual thing.
Well, I think that in order to convince people who are blasphemers not to blaspheme, you might have to engage in their blasphemy. You know what I mean? Like just in order to have discourse, I don't even think it's possible.
Yeah, takes one to know one.
So I think ultimately, you may end up having to engage in their blasphemy in order to convince them. Now, but hang on, I am going to give you the type of blasphemy laws I am okay with, right?
Okay.
So if states or local municipalities, just like they enact dry counties, things like that, if they have blue laws or blasphemy laws at the local level, I have no issues with that at all. None.
What does that mean?
It means that if they have like noise ordinances, regulations, or you can't say swear words out in public, I think that those localized ordinances are fine.
I'm more sympathetic to that. Like I don't want a bunch of Jewsburgs, let's say, people who complain about the Jews all the time, standing outside of an elementary school chanting "Death to Jews." Like, I don't, it's protected free speech. Yeah, it's like I don't. I agree. I don't know how exactly.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, that would be down to case by case. Fine, sure, but by and large, so you're sympathetic. So, because what I said to begin with was, if it ever became a main part of the Christian Nationalist platform, let's say 5 to 10 years from now, your success continues to grow, and the Christian Nationalist movement continues to ride on your coattails. Okay, and then
my coattails, no, not hardly, but
40% voting block.
Yeah,
40% voting block now. It's like legitimately, and one of the whatever the Christian Nationalist Party's platform is blasphemy laws. Anyone who mocks Jesus Christ or whatever the fucking, however the blasphemy laws are in Islam, the equivalent in Christianity or something like that. A blasphemy law like that Stephen Wolf would support. It's like, okay, if that was part of the platform, would you continue to support the platform, or would that be a fundamental like fuck this is too far?
I would probably support it still, yeah.
Okay.
If it were fundamental to the platform, so here's why, right? It may be the case even that I might disagree that it might do more harm than good ultimately for bringing people over to the cause, right? If that could be a unifier between different Christian groups in order to kind of pass the agenda, I think I would be willing to, like, I don't see the great societal harm here in doing that, one. And two, if it would create unity, then yeah, I would be for that type of restriction. But I would also say that fundamentally, I don't think that that's ever going to be the case with Christian nationalism.
I
It
hope
doesn't.
not.
They're not moving. No, that's not really what it's moving towards. What they're moving towards the idea of regulation of human behavior, especially in the physical zones, mostly geared towards degeneracy and the idea of
Sure.
procreative marriage. That seems to be the primary feasible message of Christian ethics and the idea of Christian nationalism. Same thing with saying we're a sovereign nation, we can have our own borders. We reject the idea of unfettered immigration, various things like this seem to be all within the ethical purview. I haven't seen many people, and I did read what Wolf said on this, and this was a while ago when I ordered the book. I'll have to go refresh myself, but I think that he makes the same case that they're unnecessary, right? But ultimately, if it becomes a unifier, then he understands why, and he would likely support it. So
Yeah, it's the founding fathers' strategy with slavery. It's like, well, we really don't like it, but we kind of need everyone to stick together here.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
but
it's like fundamentally, in principle, I don't have a problem with it. I just think it's less effective of a strategy ultimately.
okay, that's fair. Well, this is my point, though. Well, I'm glad we're having these conversations, and we're all the way on the front end of the meme curve because Christian nationalism is what 5 to 10% support right now. Give it 5 or 10 years.
That's a lot.
I agree. Yeah, it's depends on the other parts of Christian nationalism, but like that is one of the major concerns with me is there. It's gonna people are gonna accuse you of doing blasphemy, like you said with what you just said with the
what if it's the
the
case
Protestants are
going
to come after the Eastern Orthodox Church?
Yeah, what if it's just like, what if it's just only public though? Like,
what if what's only public?
Okay, so if they're like just out in public, you can't say like you can't blaspheme in front of other people within earshot and things like this. But in the privacy of your own home, you can blaspheme all you want, this and that. And if cops came across like some blasphemous picture that you drew at home, there's no prosecution. But just only in public, you're not allowed to blaspheme the name of Christ. Like, how would that even be that bad now that I think about it? It doesn't even sound bad.
Okay, well, you're correct. Look, the idea that we should not allow hate speech is, it makes sense intuitively. Like, why, who would want a bunch of fucking people shouting, fuck the N-words or fuck the Jews and fuck whoever, it's like, well, I don't want that around my kids. I don't want that around anything like, shit like that.
So if there's public decency laws there, what's the problem?
Well,
like, what's the problem?
This is the free speech question, because I would say it's a slippery slope where the moment you allow that, you open yourself up to say, well, what else should we allow? Andrew's Eastern Orthodox, and Eastern Orthodox is only like 5% of the Christians in America versus the Protestants or Catholics.
Yeah, that's fallacious argumentation.
Because you said earlier you said the Eastern Orthodox Church is going to be under attack, and you know that they're going to use, if blasphemy laws were a tool that the Protestants and Catholics could use against the Eastern Orthodox Church, they would use it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, from a political prescription, that would be anything. Patriarchy would be the thing they would go after before blasphemy laws.
Patriarchy would be the thing they go. You mean the Eastern Orthodox patriarchy?
Yeah, they would go after the idea that Christianity is a patriarchal faith, and so they would be affirming patriarchy in society. I think they would go after that before blasphemy laws.
Well, but surely you can envision a scenario where blasphemy laws, if they were implemented, would then get used against people like you. I'm sure there are Christians who call you blasphemous.
Yeah, but this was the same exact argument made for abortion. Like, if you make it illegal, there's going to be this massive whiplash and backlash from society, and it turns out there hasn't really been that bad of a backlash over that. Way less of a backlash than anybody envisioned. It turns out that people were pretty fucking sick of women murdering their kids. Turns out that they weren't very happy with it at all. So it's like, it could be the case that you enact blasphemy laws and people are like, this is fucking awesome. That's right. You can't say bad words about Jesus Christ, who basically most people in America believe in.
Right. So you're proving my point of why I can't bend the knee to Christian nationalism anytime soon, because it seems like you're the guy who your entire, full well the discourse, you have to, like you said, you have to be able to engage potentially in their blasphemy to be able to have discourse with them and change minds.
So what if you
are even considering like, well, maybe actually blasphemy laws are pretty good.
But what if you got every result you wanted, but you just couldn't say F Jesus? That's
I
not
don't
good
believe.
enough?
No, see, that's the thing is I don't believe reality is set up such that if you attempt to censor people under the name of blasphemy, you will get my whole criticism against it would be it would produce exactly the kind of.
Why would you agree with it on the localized level then?
Because, well, I don't know. It'd have to be.
You don't know why you agree with that? Like,
No,
why?
I mean, it's a good hypothetical. I have to ponder it more.
Yeah, well,
I have to
ponder
think
it.
about it. Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
are the rules now? Like, I believe, like,
there's local municipalities where I think that blasphemy laws are still in state. I know that there's at least, now don't quote me on that, but I know that there's at least blue laws in many places where like you can't mow your yard on Sunday, or there's
yeah,
noise
that's fine.
ordinance,
That's
which are
not
special.
noise ordinances are not. I'm
Yeah,
not
but that's
considering
still
them
a
the realm of
that's
free
but
speech.
hang on,
Not
hang on.
necessarily.
Yeah, I think they are.
It's like,
So like,
no, it's like a air horn is not free
it's
expression.
not just that though. It's the idea that like you can't mow your yard. What if you're not even with a hand mower? Should you not be allowed to do that?
That I'm willing to have as be the gray line of like, all right, if we're discussing whether or not we should allow people to mow their lawn on Sunday.
On Sunday.
That I don't care. I mean,
what about an entire dry county?
Yeah, how about no cigarettes either on Sunday?
Yeah. What about a whole dry county? Like local ordinances for this?
That's not free speech, so I'm fine with that. This is my point, though.
They just fine with it's just.
I
like
believe in free speech.
Pretty arbitrary.
Look, listen. I'll tell you know what, Andrew. I'll tell you this. This is you're right. I am more right wing than you apparently, because when the false Christian nationalists come after the coup has happened and they throw you out and they accuse you of blasphemy, I will join you in condemning the false Christian nationalists and saying you fuckers want to use blasphemy laws to silence people because you don't like the discourse because you have a particular interpretation of the Bible. Go fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
You know what's really
and
funny
I would join you
about-
in that crusade.